For Clark, that's 13, as Howard is up to 18 points.
Passing.
27 years. That's the amount of time Nike took to finally place a female basketball athlete at the core of a Super Bowl advertisement. Then they chose to stop delaying. From every athlete across the globe, every title winner, every legend, every low-risk option, they selected a single name: Caitlyn Clark, an athlete still in the early stages of her professional journey.
Caitlyn, how did this crowd, this moment, this environment meet your expectations today?
I mean, they always succeeded.
$16 million risk placed on 62 seconds of broadcast time. Why her? Why at this moment? And when that commercial aired, something fractured the system. Within 24 hours, tens of millions of views. In just one quarter, a single athlete fuels an astonishing portion of an entire league's economy. Ticket revenue, media contracts, merchandise sales, cultural relevance, all accelerated by one individual. How does one player shift an entire industry at this speed? This isn't a basketball narrative. It's a redistribution of power. The origin point before the Super Bowl glare, before the signature footwear announcements, before casual sports audiences could even spell her name. Caitlyn Clark was already redirecting momentum both on and off the court. But there's one moment that altered everything. One commercial that functioned as the first chapter of this entire movement. State Farm reached out and they didn't propose a small regional appearance or a background role in a larger campaign. They placed her directly front and center beside Jake from State Farm in a nationwide commercial, making her the first NCAA athlete ever to secure that level of placement. With the insurance powerhouse interview.
Here's Clark. Wow! You bet!
Clark, wow, you now. Pause and consider that for a moment. College athletes had only recently been granted the right to profit from their name, image, and likeness. And while other players were navigating local car dealership agreements and regional restaurant sponsorships, Caitlyn was already functioning at an entirely different elevation. But here's what transformed that commercial into something iconic. It wasn't merely that she appeared, it was the manner in which she appeared. Every line connected. Every response felt effortless. The way she played off Jake, the precision of her timing, the relaxed confidence she carried into every shot. Audiences weren't witnessing an athlete stiffly reciting dialogue. They were watching someone who knew how to control a camera, how to land a punchline, how to make 60 seconds feel like entertainment instead of marketing. That authenticity, that natural presence, is what brands spend millions attempting to engineer but almost never manage to purchase. She wasn't performing a role. She was simply being herself, and the camera responded perfectly. The outcomes were undeniable. According to the Shorty Awards, the campaign generated 29.2 million video views, over 115,000 social interactions, and more than 157 million impressions across State Farm's platforms alone. But here's the statistic that carries the most weight. Subsequent analysis revealed that Caitlyn's State Farm commercial was 46% more effective at driving engagement than the average State Farm advertisement. 46%. That's not incremental growth. That's authority. The impact wasn't just in the script. It was in the nuances fans fixated on, the pause before a joke landed, the subtle grin when she knew she nailed a line, how casually she handled a basketball while speaking as if it were an extension of her body, rather than a prop. Interview.
On the past couple weeks and even the past couple months, I feel like I'm so focused on helping this team win and be so great.
She didn't come across like a paid spokesperson. She felt like your favorite hooper who just happened to appear in a commercial. And suddenly, people who had never watched a women's basketball game in their entire lives knew exactly who Caitlyn Clark was. That single commercial unlocked doors most athletes spend whole careers attempting to open. And she stepped through them without hesitation. The Super Bowl moment. Nike had gone 27 years without centering women's basketball in a Super Bowl commercial. 27 years spent on the sidelines while other sports, other athletes, other narratives dominated the largest advertising stage on the planet. Then they returned with something that can only be described as a proclamation, not a murmur, not an experiment, a statement. And they placed Caitlyn Clark directly at the center.
Decades, the best get-ahead passer, and her three-point shot.
The commercial was titled, "You Can't Win, So Win," and it aired for 62 seconds during Super Bowl 59. But this wasn't solely about Caitlyn. Nike assembled what resembled an all-star exhibition of elite athletic talent. Aja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Sha'Carri Richardson, Jordan Chiles. Top-tier athletes spanning multiple sports, all sharing the frame, all carrying the same message. The idea was straightforward yet forceful. You'll be told you can't succeed, so succeed anyway. "You can't win, so win." It landed as both a challenge and a rallying call, narrated with weight and backed by Led Zeppelin. The advertisement felt like a tribute to every underdog who refused to back down, to every athlete told to stay quiet who instead chose to amplify their voice. But this is where the metrics become overwhelming. Within 24 hours of the commercial's release, it accumulated over 66 million views. 66 million in one day. Industry experts estimated the earned media value at roughly $4.2 million. An extraordinary outcome for any debut appearance on that platform. Yet the qualitative response was even more striking.
You can too.
Outperformed every other Super Bowl 59 advertisement, earning 75% positive sentiment and ranking within the top 1% for social influence. The top 1% of every commercial aired during the most-watched television broadcast of the year. That's not simply a successful ad. That's cultural saturation at the highest tier. Nike reportedly invested around $16 million in that Super Bowl slot, entrusted Caitlyn with helping it resonate, and she delivered without question. But what elevated this moment beyond conventional sports marketing was how Caitlyn connected to worlds that rarely merge this seamlessly. On one side stood massive corporate sports branding.
Northwestern makes it hard on us every time we play them, so I give them a lot of credit. Veronica Burton's a heck of a player.
With its refined production quality and calculated messaging. On the other stood grassroots hoop culture, the foundation that has propelled women's basketball forward for years, often without the attention or resources it deserved. She linked those worlds in 60 seconds. And in doing so, she didn't just raise her own profile. She advanced the entire dialogue surrounding women's basketball and American sports culture, building the ecosystem. What differentiates Caitlyn Clark from the standard athlete endorsement model isn't merely the scale of her contracts, it's the cohesion. She's not just participating in sponsorships. She's constructing an ecosystem where every partnership feels deliberate, where every product feels genuine, where fans aren't just purchasing merchandise. They're investing in a lifestyle, a narrative, a journey they feel emotionally tied to. Take Gatorade. They didn't simply place her image on a bottle and move on. They developed an entire campaign structured around her routine. Hydration, recovery, performance.
Crowd, this moment, this environment meet your expectations today?
I mean, they always succeeded.
The complete package was directly connected to Caitlyn's work ethic and playing style. Suddenly, every sip, every bottle, every pre-workout shot felt Caitlyn approved. And fans treated it like a symbol of allegiance, similar to wearing a team jersey, but more intimate. The limited edition Gatorade bottle became a collectible almost instantly. Shelves emptied within days as retailers rushed to restock and fans searched for them, like exclusive merchandise drops.
A good amount of them were either my age or, we even had rookies in the room too, so.
Social media exploded with unboxing clips, routine breakdowns, and people showcasing their finds. The You Can campaign featuring Caitlyn as the face saw its limited edition bottles and towels sell out in roughly 24 hours. This wasn't a standard endorsement. This was ecosystem marketing at its peak. Caitlyn wasn't just holding a product. She embodied the lifestyle surrounding it. Kids, aspiring hoopers, and casual fans began copying her routines as if they were following a blueprint for athletic success. And that's exactly what brands hope for, yet rarely achieve. That depth of influence, that level of behavioral imitation, is worth more than any advertising spend can purchase. Then Wilson entered the picture and elevated things even further. Caitlyn launched the first ever female signature basketball line with Wilson. But she wasn't just posing for photos and collecting a paycheck. She was actively co-creating. She provided meaningful input on colors, design, texture, and fine details. The final product genuinely reflected her on-court energy, her personality, her preferences. Properly. When LeBron James released his first signature shoe in 2003, it marked a pivotal moment for Nike and the NBA. It signaled that a young athlete could be trusted to represent an entire product line, that their personal brand carried enough gravity to move merchandise at scale. Caitlyn has now reached the women's basketball equivalent of that milestone. What makes it even more extraordinary is that she achieved it before fully settling into her WNBA career. She accomplished in her first professional seasons what many athletes spend 10 years striving toward. The Wilson collection wasn't only about selling basketballs. It was about positioning Caitlyn as a co-creator.
And I know that, and I think I needed that moment here in the Big Ten tournament.
As someone whose perspective and creative input matter to major corporations as a partner, rather than just a spokesperson. That distinction is crucial for sustained brand growth. Athletes viewed as collaborators instead of mouthpieces earn greater respect, deeper loyalty, and ultimately more financial upside throughout their careers. The logo and the shoe. Just as momentum seemed unable to climb any higher, Nike made another announcement that sent shockwaves through both the sneaker community and the sports marketing world simultaneously. They unveiled Caitlyn's personal logo to interlocking C's, minimal, refined, elegant. Some initially dismissed it as too simple, but that reaction actually underscores why it works so effectively. The most iconic athlete logos in history share a single trait. They're instantly recognizable and endlessly adaptable. Jordan's Jumpman, Federer's RF, Brady's TB12. The strongest logos don't rely on complexity. They rely on memorability. Two interlocking C's can be placed on virtually anything. Hoodies, tees, footwear, bags, hats, phone cases, water bottles, any product category imaginable. The logo fits. It scales upward. It scales downward. It appears official and elite in every setting. That's not basic design that makes sure that you can really hit. That's strategic brilliance, but the logo is only the opening act. Caitlyn's first full signature shoe is scheduled for release in October 2026. Roughly 3 years into her professional career. 3 years. Most athletes wait a decade or longer for that opportunity if it ever arrives at all. Sneaker industry analyst Nick DePaula estimates that launch alone could generate between $100 million and $150 million in revenue. Let that figure settle in. $100 to $150 million. Those numbers are typically reserved for long-established superstars who have spent 15 or 20 years building brand equity. Caitlyn is projecting those figures while she's still essentially introducing herself to casual sports audiences. Nike doesn't view her merely as an athlete with endorsement upside. They see her as a long-term marketing engine with authentic cultural influence. Someone capable of moving products, yes, but more importantly, someone who can shift conversations, alter perceptions, and draw new audiences into spaces they may never have explored. The signature shoe represents the ultimate endorsement in modern athlete branding. It means a company is willing to commit massive resources to your longevity, your relevance, your marketability for years or even decades. Nike is making that commitment to Caitlyn before she's even reached her athletic prime. That level of corporate belief says everything about how the industry perceives her potential.
The right level of inventory.
I do see like the Nike dunk.
Competition and context. To fully grasp what Caitlyn Clark has accomplished, you have to compare her trajectory with other emerging stars in women's basketball. Not to diminish anyone else's success, but to properly frame just how exceptional her marketing rise has been. Sabrina possesses elite skill and strong endorsement growth. She's a genuine star with real commercial appeal. But she hasn't yet headlined a Super Bowl commercial or driven a global viral campaign. At this magnitude, Angel Reese secured a notable Reebok deal that generated early excitement.
You mean 51% from the field efficient?
Significant media coverage. But according to industry reporting, sales did not meet initial projections, and promotional momentum appeared to taper by mid-season. A'ja Wilson is a certified superstar with Nike partnerships and deep brand recognition, built through years of dominance. But even she didn't enter the league carrying this level of viral marketing energy. Her brand developed steadily through consistent excellence, which is admirable, but follows a different path. Jewel Lloyd has been a reliable force with long-term sponsors throughout her career. She's respected within marketing circles, but her campaigns haven't penetrated mainstream cultural conversation in the way Caitlyn's have. Cameron Brink arrived as a rookie standout with strong NIL momentum from college, but she hasn't yet combined national advertising placement with a signature product launch that converts casual viewers into paying customers. Now, revisit Caitlyn's numbers.
You don't need us, like a good neighbor.
1,066 million views in a single day from her Nike Super Bowl appearance. Millions in earned media value. Tangible product sell-through from Gatorade releases to Wilson collections. She's not simply generating clicks or social engagement. She's moving inventory, converting attention into revenue, and pulling new audiences into women's basketball with magnetic force. The difference is crucial. Many athletes can create buzz. Many can attract attention online. But turning that attention into sustained commercial success, into products that genuinely sell out, into campaigns that meaningfully impact multinational corporations, requires something else entirely. It demands authenticity that connects, timing that aligns, presence that makes people want to buy into your story, not just watch your highlights. Caitlyn has been constructing a professional-grade brand before fully settling into the WNBA, leaving most peers trailing behind in marketing influence, fan connection, and social reach.
Western's Welsh Ryan Arena, it felt more like a home game for the
Numbers that matter. Let's focus on the data that causes executives to lean forward. Because what Caitlyn represents extends far beyond individual sponsorship agreements. Analysts estimate that she drives approximately 26.5% of total WNBA economic activity. Sit with that for a moment. One athlete accounts for more than a quarter of an entire league's economic output. Tickets, merchandise, television ratings, sponsorship valuations, all significantly shaped by a single player. That's not typical. That's not even exceptional by normal standards. That's a level of individual economic influence that forces leagues to rethink star power and brands to rethink partnerships. Forbes has named her among the most powerful women in sports, noting that she earned roughly $8.1 million as a rookie with multiple major endorsements already in place. $8 million as a first-year professional, with deals structured to expand dramatically over time. But her social media growth may be the clearest indicator of cultural reach. Between March and April 2024, her Instagram following surged by approximately 775,000 new followers. Her TikTok audience increased by 57% during the same window. That type of growth confirms that fans aren't passively observing. They're actively committing, sharing her content, interacting with her posts, and moving alongside her journey like invested participants rather than distant viewers. The fusion of traditional media impact and social engagement creates a flywheel effect that's extremely difficult to replicate. Each successful campaign generates attention, which fuels social interaction, which attracts more brand opportunities, which produces more campaigns. The cycle accelerates itself, and Caitlyn sits at the center of that acceleration with a decisive first-mover advantage. In modern women's basketball marketing, the bigger picture. What Caitlyn Clark is building goes beyond individual brand accumulation. She's creating a new framework for how athletes can approach marketing today, particularly women athletes who have historically faced different barriers and opportunities than men. The traditional athlete branding route followed a familiar sequence. Prove yourself over years of competition, win titles, accumulate awards. Eventually, major brands arrive with significant offers. It was a slow, linear process that rewarded longevity. Caitlyn has compressed that timeline dramatically while expanding the ceiling of what's possible. She's showing that with the right mix of skill, personality, and platform, an athlete can build commercial infrastructure alongside athletic growth. Instead of waiting until afterward, this isn't just about her success. It's about what her success communicates to the next generation of women athletes and to the brands trying to connect with them. If Caitlyn can generate this level of commercial demand and real sales conversion before reaching her athletic peak, what does that imply about the untapped potential of women's sports marketing as a whole? That question is already forcing corporate leaders to rethink investment strategies. Nike spending $16 million on a Super Bowl slot for a women's basketball-centered commercial isn't just about Caitlyn. It's about Nike acknowledging that the women's sports audience is larger, more engaged, and more commercially powerful than legacy metrics suggested. Caitlyn is the proof of concept. She's the case study that will appear in boardrooms and marketing decks for years. And she's still at the beginning. Most athletes learn to master the game. A few figure out how to sell it. Caitlyn Clark does something far rarer. She understands the entire system surrounding it, and she's reshaping it in real time. She isn't waiting for approval or following a script written decades ago. She's positioning herself at the intersection of culture, commerce, and competition, forcing leagues and brands to adapt after the fact. Nike, State Farm, Gatorade. These aren't just endorsements. They're indicators, evidence of a shift already underway. And the real question now isn't whether this moment endures, but who recognizes what it truly represents before the opportunity disappears. Because when one player starts redefining value at this scale, the next move doesn't just alter a career, it transforms an entire industry. So the real question is simple. Who sees what's coming next? And who's about to realize it too late?